Hey guys, so this is Matt. We're back with another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. Today we have an amazing guest on. I mean, I'm just amazed that we were able to get him on here, and we're very thankful for it. His name is Dr. Christopher Macklin. He is a UFO specialist, alien specialist. As I've always said in the past, that UFOs, aliens, abductions, all that stuff, that's just a huge field just by itself in the paranormal. It's something that if you're going to do it, you really have to focus on it a lot. Amanda and I don't really focus too much on UFOs. We do go looking for them, but we don't spend a lot of time like Dr. Macklin does. And so we're going to have him kind of start with his story, what got him into, researching UFO aliens and helping people that have been abducted. And then he's just so knowledgeable. I mean, we only have him for between a half an hour and 45 minutes. So we're going to try and talk to him as much stuff as we can. But again, thank you so much, Dr. Macklin, for coming on. We really appreciate it. So,
Matt, it's such a blessing. Thank you so much for having me. Bless your heart. Yay.
Appreciate you. So if you can kind of tell us, where did you get your start into aliens? What got you interested?
Well, it's interesting, I was born as a Melchizedek being, but didn't know it. So my mother was abducted to get me down on the planet, because one of the things about starseed people is that, you have to have enough DNA for certain factions of them. So the light body will hold the soul within the body. So, very often you can't just, depending on what starseed you are, you can't just, be born down here. So they abducted my mother, made sure there's enough DNA of the Melchizedek being so that we could get the soul here, which I didn't realize, of course, when I was born. So I was born, and I had 8 strokes when I was first born because of the, they know who starseeds are, they know what they're going to do. So, of course, the birth was pretty traumatic. I had 8 strokes, got over that. And then when I was about 4, I burnt my back, but before I did that, I realized I could see things in the sky, like, what's that, and so Dad, look at that saucer thing in the sky. Where, they couldn't see them. And, you start to feel like nuts. And, I remember one night there was an Anunnaki, which is also basically an alien being, not a good alien being. There's negative ones, there's positive ones. And I remember that night, there's a big old 10-foot Anunnaki standing in the corner and said, Dad, look, there's a reptilian thing in my room. And he said, whoa, what do you want about? It's okay, it's just a bad dream. And I realized from then that he couldn't see them and I could. And, anyway, I worked on it and said, right, get out of my room, put some power behind it. It went. I thought, oh, wow, that worked.
Yeah.
So it's just the intent, like, get out, and they get out of your field. So life moved on, still saw, craft in the sky, still can today. I can also see alien beings, these, what they call entities, negative entities attached to people. And they attach to people all the time. So, anyway, moving forward, so, I go in a corporate system, couldn't stand my job, didn't enjoy it, got a degree in maths, electronics and control and software systems, worked on aircraft systems, worked on all types of things. And, I kept thinking to myself, there's got to be something bigger than this. This is just like nonsense, and you look at these big companies and they're just like a machine, they've got dead wood in, people who don't get it. And they were employing these people and paying them tons of money, and they were incompetent. And I think, as a starseed, I was meant to be suppressed for a while. So in 2007, I got out of the electronics and started building, houses and refurbing them. And it got bigger to 173 apartments in Manchester. And anyway, we got the land, bought the land, millions of pounds and dollars, and then one day the bank phoned up and said, oh, these apartments that are worth £220,000, which is like, I don't know, almost $300,000, they're now worth 90. We want our money back within 14 days. And I thought, you've got to be kidding. So, and I had £10 and I said, would that help? And the bank didn't seem to see the funny side. So they put a statute ban, which is the process of taking you bankrupt, and took me bankrupt, and I ended up completely on my own. It was weird. The marriage collapsed, everything collapsed, and life changed really big. And I remember, this is really important for viewers. I remember being in the middle of Manchester, And I'd worked for 21 years, earned all this money, and I thought, what the heck's this about? You know, God, what's this about? And they said, it's the right time, you'll see. What do you mean it's the right time? Oh, it's the right time, you'll see. I did see, it just took a while.
Yeah.
And Matt, it was the biggest and best thing that ever happened to me, because it taught me. I mean, I was so embarrassed because I had a Bentley at the time, and Bentleys, I don't know what they're worth, $200,000, $300,000, who knows, you know, who cares? But, you know, it's a bit of expensive tin on wheels. And it was in the parking lot. I couldn't even afford to put gas in it, you know. I couldn't afford money for food. And so, you know, it really taught me about stuff. And I went on a journey, you know, I met somebody who, you know, connected with me for a while and sent me to Belize. I went to India. I went all over Europe doing healings. And, you know, I learned, you know, when I went, and this is the biggest, I suppose, lesson, I went to Belize and I went on one of the Mayan temples. Now, the Mayan good people, you know, they worship, it's kind of satanic worship because they, you know, they believe in sacrifice. And, you know, of course, God doesn't need sacrifice at all. And that's going on at the moment in the world. So, so I had visions of my past life. I thought, wow, you know, and they showed me, you know, it was almost like a hologram in this room. And I was just watching it, you know, blown away. And they showed me, you know, what I should be doing now. And if you want to do it, you know, it's your choice. It's free will down here. And of course, I really focused on the healings. And I spent about 4 years in meditation, understanding cause and effect. They showed me I chaired the Galactic Federation. I'm not talking the Federation, like there's many federations, so please don't get mixed up with them. Even the Melchizedek order, you know, if you look at the order down here, it's been hijacked. Everything's been hijacked, you know. So, you know, I was born of a Melchizedek being, and you know, there's 5 of us here to try and help the planet rebalance. Like there's lots of Palladians, there's lots of Arcturians, Atlantarians, Lemurians, Andromedans, and these starseed people have been born down here. Why is that? Well, it's important because there's free will down here. They can't interfere unless they put people down here who pull, you know, help from the ethers. And very often, of course, they know what starseeds are being born here, so they attack them. You know, they connect with them. They've tried to take me out, 289 times. Once was with a bioweapon in Los Angeles. I was dusted with 2 malaria and a binding agent and a solvent, you know, and it sank in the skin. It collected around here. You know, I've got rid of it, most of it now, in my body. But you know, it's a bacteria that causes really, you know, well, can kill you, you know. And we did a toxicology report, so got over all that, you know. But you know, one of the things about alien beings is this, you know. So what's the stories about alien beings? Well, you know, many people have been abducted by the Greys. So why do they want to abduct people? Well, they want to steal your body bits. They want to steal your sperm. They want to steal your eggs because they destroyed their planet. And what's the energy exchange? Oh, technology, nanotech, you know, which is really bad news, but, you know, that's probably a subject that we can go over. I've been working with nanotechnology for 14 years, and it's so prevalent now, you know, Morgellons particles, everything else. So, you know, they give us technology, you know, it's like giving a human being, you know, like at 2 years of age, the keys to a Ferrari. You've got no business having it. But anyway, so we've got it here. And the abductees, what happens is they take them on the ship and they just basically take their body parts to create humanoids because they've destroyed their planet. And now, of course, they're trying to destroy ours. But about 3 years, I think it was 3 years last June, I was at a conference with the Galactic Federation. People say, well, how do you get there? Well, sometimes they take you bodily, sometimes they take your soul there. You know, it depends whether it's alternate dimension or whether it's in this dimension and you can fly there. If you've actually flown there on a craft, you know, for sure when you get back, you know, you feel really nauseous. You feel as though someone's beating you with a baseball bat because everything aches because these things go really fast. Something like 275,000 miles an hour. So they take you and, you know, you sit on, you know, and we had a discussion, which is a really interesting discussion because people often say, well, why doesn't God just take them off the planet? Well, the prime creator, or whoever you call God, I call God prime creator, God, goddess, prime creator of all it is, created this third dimensional world with complete free will. So even the prime creator can't interfere with this third dimensional world. So So we had a discussion. What's the difference between violation and education? Very close. So, for example, when you come down here, before you agree, I mean, starseeds volunteer people, the normal people who just solely cycling because they want to improve their, their spirituality, keep coming back here time and time again. And you get on, you get stuck in that system. But if you're a starseed, God says, well, I need volunteers. So you say, oh, yeah, I'll come down here, and so you get in the queue. I mean, for you guys, I don't know what you were thinking, but I mean, it's kind of, I always tell people, look, if you're in that situation, pretend you've got diarrhea, go to the toilet, lock the door, and don't say anything until they've got all the volunteers. And then, oh, maybe next time, but yeah. I'm just joking. I mean, we do volunteer down here. So as a starseed, you volunteer to come down here, of course, because your starseed family, mind them because they're beings, other people, Palladians, Arcturians, you're pulling from the ethers, but of course they know who's coming down here, so they attack you from birth. And, it happens and they try and make you depressed. They get negative entities, in quotes, attached to you. If you look at Jesus' teachings, I mean, I love Jesus' teachings. I'm not a Christian, but his teachings were just unconditional love. But he did talk about demonic entities like, Luciferians, connected to the Vatican, and Anunnaki, Draconians, but he never really mentioned what they were. But when they attach to you, they can make a real mess of your body, because they're low vibrational beings. They block the meridians, they cause problems with the intestines, they tap in the lower back, damage L4, L5 disc, they send you negative thoughts, and people get depressed. You keep getting these thoughts like, oh God, you're useless, that was pathetic. And you just get all these thoughts every single day. And of course they hang on the shoulders or neck, so that's always really tight. And, it's important to remove them, because if you do have an attachment, you're not going to get anywhere until you really remove it, raise your vibration, get rid of all the emotion we ingest from this third dimensional world, so you get back to that sovereign being that you should be. And that's really important. But, these people who have been abductees, for example, I had somebody in Florida, and she was in tears. She said, I feel like I've been raped. And they opened a portal, they came down, took her out, stole some of her eggs, came back, and she said, my whole womb's inflamed. I feel as I've been raped. She just knew, because they wiped the conscious memory, but not the subconscious. And, it's a complete violation. So going back to that meeting, what's the difference between violation and education? For example, if a negative energy, entity attaches to you, like a demonic entity, is that a violation? The answer is no. You think, well, why not? Because before you come down here, you're shown what you can actually see, and it's up to you to create the education, how to deal with these entities so they don't attach to you. Yeah. Now, if the Greys abduct you, is that a violation? Absolutely. Why is that? Because what they're doing is they're paralyzing you, so you're not even in control of your body. They take you on their ship, they, take some eggs, they take some sperm, and then they put you back down here again without your permission. Is that a violation? Well, of course it is. So they were taken off the planet 3 years ago. I think it was June, July. I can't exactly remember. Now what they're doing, they're very crafty beings. So how did they get down here now without violating the universal rules? The answer is what they do is they open portals in people's houses. So they're not actually here. In a portal, they're in a different time space. So they can come here, they can still abduct people through portal technology, as opposed to just, having their ship over your house and taking you out. So they're still around, but not so much. They have reduced their activity for sure. So there's a lot going on. I mean, I remember going to a ranch that was in Arizona, and what happened is they had a horse sanctuary, where horses went, and what would happen is one morning, one of the horses had just been completely dismembered in bits on the floor. And this guy was so upset. And I said, what they're doing is they're eating the things, Greys eat anything, So what I did is I went down there for the weekend. And it was really interesting, he showed me where the portal opens. And so I was there. It took me about a day and a half to open this portal, with look at the coding of everything else. And I'll never forget when it opened. There was like a sonic boom, and they didn't open it, on the ground level. They opened it about 300 feet up, and you could see this whole hole, and you could see beings and, craft and things just dropping out of it. It was amazing. But one of the things about that is we have watchers. If you look at the Book of Enoch, he talks about watchers. He was a Melchizedek being, of course, too, but we've got watchers that, make sure you don't get into trouble down here, because they can take them, and they're Actorians. They basically protect us because we've got work to do, which is the Pyramid Project, which I'll talk about later if you want to. But they just appeared in the sky, like 3 craft, and they were going like 1 to 3, 1 to 3. And I was talking to them, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're watching you and keeping an eye so you don't get into trouble. Because they know, I've got this warrior thing, let's get in the portal and do something. Not a good idea, you have to stay away from. Anyway, I worked on this portal, I shut it down. As soon as I shut it down properly for good, these craft just went. But what was really interesting is that when the craft were there, of course, military helicopters come and start flying around them, thinking, what do we do with these things? They just flew around them. They didn't do anything, which is good. So then they just disappeared about 40, 50 minutes later when I'd, shut down the portal for good. And he never had the problem again. So there's a lot of activity. People don't realize a lot of alien beings, different places, different dimensions as well, and time-space continuum, who are helping us here, And of course, you got the negative ones, especially ones under the planet, like the Draconians, the Anunnaki, some Nordics under the planet, who are manipulating humanity. And that's why I think, one of the things to think about is that it's not just deep state Nazis and things that trying to take over the planet. They're just puppets. The masters, the puppet masters, are under the planet. So it's no use just getting rid of them, because if you just wipe them out, they're going to come back, 50 years later, they'll create humanoid out of themselves. There's Anunnaki humanoids, you can always tell because they have actually no soul. They don't care about humanity. They don't care about killing people. They just, they're just on a path of complete control, and, it's all about the money, so very interesting what's going on at the moment. Yeah,
that does sound very interesting. Now, you do remote viewing too, which is something a couple of my friends have done in the past. And, what they do is they project to places to help people, with ghosts and stuff like that. But explain what remote viewing is and how it works, if you would, please.
Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. One is where remote viewing is really where, you have to get in a meditative state. Your soul kind of jumps out of the body effectively, and then can go anywhere because, of course, it's energetic. So it can go to UK, it can go to Africa, wherever it wants to go. And but it takes a bit of work to actually perfect it. And of course, it turns up somewhere, and you're in a transcendental meditation state while your soul's looking around. You can see everything. When you're there. That's one form of remote viewing, and I could do that. But the other way is where when I do healings, they show me videos of the body. So that's a different way. It's almost like having windows in your mind. And they open a window saying, okay, have a look at the kidneys, and they look dysfunctional. They look grey, and, there's a tumour in the left breast, or there's something else. They specifically open, videos pointing to those areas. So you can then work on them and see, what the improvements are. So that's another way of remote viewing, but that's kind of connected to your starseed family, so it depends. The normal way of remote viewing really is to actually get your soul out, and literally, you can try this at home. For example, if you get in a meditative state, get really relaxed, let your mind go, and say, okay, I want to go in the other room. So if you get someone to put something in the other room, which you don't know where it is, they can put it anywhere, and you walk around the room and you can see, oh, there it is on the mantle, or there it is on the dresser, or there it is wherever it is. It's a good measure of training for remote viewing, but it takes a bit of work. It's not just something, because I even find people can't meditate properly because, they say, well, how do I meditate? Well, let your mind go. Well, how do I do that? Because I've got the shopping to do later. I've got something else. It's very difficult to get in that place where you can completely clear your mind. And, I got there. It took me a while to train myself to meditate properly.
Yeah, you probably have to be very disciplined for that.
Oh, yeah, and it takes a while. It took me probably about 6 months to really get into that place where I could just really lie there, switch my mind off, and when you can do that, again, if you're a starseed, you'll find that if you meditate and ask your starseed family, I need to connect with you, it just takes time, because they do test you, like if you meditate 2 or 3 days in a row, well, whatever. They want to see, are you really dedicated to it? And they might leave it a month or two before they actually connect with you, because it sounds brutal, but they don't want to waste their time with people who really aren't going to show up. And once you connect with them, strange things happen. You get downloads, you find out your gifts, you find out, past lives, you'll find out everything. And that happened to me actually in Belize, Although the Mayans, to me, were crazy and, all about sacrifice, the temples they built were on the ley lines, and the power in those temples were amazing. So I sat on the top of this Mayan temple. It's called Chantovich in Belize. And it was just incredible. The visions I got, it really heightened my state up. And I think that's something, maybe if you want help with that, go to one of these temples where they've got a high vibration, because they're sitting on a ley line and they've got amazing energy,
That's cool. So you also work with alien abductees. How exactly do you help them?
Well, what we do is we work on the subconscious mind to release the emotion of people stealing their body parts, because it's a complete violation. So we work on that, and we also can do psychic surgery, where if it's a fresh abduction where they've just taken the eggs out and the sperm, you're going to feel some pain or some discomfort down there. And so, the Melchizedek beings can go in and work on the scar tissue from that. So that really helps. But the biggest thing to me is the psychological effect of these things. You have to release the emotion to change the patterns and get them, and get them to a place of forgiveness. Okay, you did it, but I forgive you. Because if you harbor that emotion, it's going to make you sick, and I see that all the time.
Wow.
To be honest, Matt, people, in this world, we're born here and we're educated to be powerless victims. Like, you're not worthy. And, look at, for example, Christianity, you look at communion. I mean, I don't believe in communion because I think it's a satanic ritual. Drinking the blood of Jesus in his flesh, no, it's sacrifice, and it's not. And, people say, well, how do you mean? Well, it's because of the new covenant. Have a look at the new covenant. It links back to the Vatican. It links back to the Roman Empire. It's all about sacrifice. And God's not in sacrifice. God loves us without condition. So, but one of the things about that is that, if you look at one of the creeds coming up to, doing communion, it says, we are not so worthy as to gather up the crumbs under thy table. And, well, if Jesus was here now, he'd be converting water to wine, and, he'd be getting bread, and he'd want a wild party. I always tell people, Jesus was an old tippler. He converted water to wine. So listen, what's good for him is good for us. But seriously, I mean, I think, we're taught, and even your mom, dad, it depends on your upbringing, but, get out my sight, seen, not heard, all this sort of thing. And we go through life, and even the spells that we speak out loud, like good morning, well, good morning. Morning is like morning something happening. Good it's not good, and we need to shift our word and spells to a different way, like yay, hi, or something else, We've got to look at it very carefully. And earning a living, I mean, an urn is something you put ashes in when someone dies, and there's a whole slew of manipulation around this. So very important to change that, Look at, instead of, earn a living, why don't you say, well, I'm doing work, I'm getting an amazing energy exchange for it, Yeah. We've got to change the whole mindset, It's really important.
Okay, cool. So now I have to ask you, because you're an alien investigator, Area 51, do you have any knowledge of that? Do you believe that we're actually working on UFOs and stuff like that? Is that actually real, or is that just something that they make up? It just
no, it's real. I mean, I could go boat you into places, and they do have some craft. In fact, they have a Melchizedek craft. There's 6 craft here, Melchizedek craft. One's under the Sphinx. They're in other parts of the world, and they're actually DNA activated. So a lot of them, they can't get working, especially the Melchizedek one, because unless you've got the right DNA, they can try and create a clone of you. But of course, they can never clone, completely you as a person. Why is that? Because the light body of the DNA is the key instrument to triggering a lot of these craft. So, but yeah, they do have craft there, of course, and a lot of other stuff as well. Alien beings who've died, they've done autopsies on them. You can see it, and of course, the big caverns under the planet, you've got the Draconians and Anunnaki there. There's stuff like that going on as well. So, yeah, Area 51's absolutely real.
Yeah. All right, well, cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us before we let you go here?
Yeah, I would love to talk about the pyramid project. So why are we doing a pyramid project? What is it? Well, basically, the Arcturians are building off-planet pyramids, 999.9 feet tall, 666.66 feet tall, 333.33 feet tall. What's that about? Well, think about it, what I'd said before. The deep state Nazi regime, whatever you want to call it, Illuminati, doesn't matter what, there's a whole thing that's trying to take over the planet. Yeah. And up here, they're just puppets. And think about, why does someone like Bill Gates wants to cover the sun? Oh, it's global warming. No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with the planet. What it is they want to reduce the oxygen. Why do they want to reduce the oxygen? Is because the beings below don't breathe high levels of oxygen. It's much lower. So if they want to get them up top, they've got to reduce the oxygen level up here so that they can actually breathe the reduced oxygen, which means, we'd be in trouble up here. And that's what they're trying to do. They're puppet masters for the reptilians underneath the planet. So how does the pyramid project work? Well, these big pyramids, the biggest one, they're going to be in a golden curve. The biggest one will sit on the ley line, on the main juncture of a ley line, the main ley lines of the planet, which means it's going to fire up the energy within the ley lines, and then it'll help the vibration of the planet accelerate really high. And, things like Anunnaki Draconians can't sit in a high vibrational place. It's like when we do healing, can they attach to you? Yeah, why is that? Because your vibration is precarious. When you get your vibration really high, your energy field's way above them. They can't get near your energy field because they're too low vibrational creatures. So they'll have to either decide to leave or they will perish. So this will be an instrument to really help us rid the planet of the reptilian instruments that are here, the beings that are here. And I think that's a really important thing, because if you don't, you can do something on the top and get rid of puppet masters, and great, 50 years later, they're going to recreate humanoids again, reptilian ones, and they'll be back in doing the same thing as they've always done. And I think this is the time when the planet's going to really shift. So we're helping. It's a huge project. Don't know how much money it's going to cost. Just the land, we need about 100,000 acres. It's probably going to cost, $200 million. But the whole, if these things just appear out of the sky, which they will, they'll just appear. And, people are going to be, oh, wow, I want to go and see them. So, you have to create a huge infrastructure for millions of people to come and see these things. So, it's an ongoing project. We're on that. It's going to be in the United States. Can't tell you exactly where it is because, of course, the puppet masters will want to buy all the land up around where we want to actually do this project. So, but it's underway.
That's awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing that. Now, do you think that humans built the pyramids, or did the aliens help them, or did the aliens actually build the pyramids?
The aliens built them and transferred them down here, like the ones we're doing. They can they can bring them on anti-gravitation. They can switch dimensions. They have all the technology to do that. So it's like the Giza ones were built by the Palladians, and they were brought down here. They're very different because they used to be flat, of course, and now they stole all the outside coating because of the minerals and things in them, because they were worth a lot of money. The ones we're doing have a lot of things. They're actually going to be built in Moldavite mainly, but you can imagine. There's not enough Moldavite on this planet to build 3 pyramids that big, because it's an off-planet, rock. So I think they've been shut down. The Giza pyramids kind of still work because they've still got the shape. Think about this, the vibration of gold is the same vibration as water, same vibration as our bodies, because our bodies are whatever percent, 82% water. So, it's a water vessel. Now, how does the water apply? Well, the rock is porous that they're made of, sandstone or whatever. So they absorb water. So you've got like a sheet of water. And they used to have a Merkaba on top, which is made of crystal. They used to be about 7 feet tall. A Merkaba. If anyone that doesn't know what a Merkaba is, I have one here. It's only a paper one, but that's a Merkaba. So it used to sit on the top of the pyramids. It's an energy accelerator. It's got many pyramids pointing in, so it accelerates the energy and fires it down. They were a lot more powerful than they are now. But of course, they've taken the Merkabas off. They've stolen the materials, so they're reduced in energy, but they're still pretty high powered. So yeah, I mean, if you look at it, we couldn't build them, even with the technology we have, that accurate, because they've got to be absolutely spot on accurate. You can't even be 0.0001 of a degree out. Otherwise, the whole structure would reduce its energy. So yeah, they're off planet all right.
Well, that sounds like an amazing thing that you're doing. It's going to be really interesting to see, when you guys get done, what that's going to be like for everybody. I would imagine it's going to be like an awakening.
Oh yeah. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have a farm, probably about 5,000-10,000 acres, where we can actually, you need restaurants, farm, you need crystal shops, you need, I want oil shops, I want, herb shops, places to eat, places to drink, meditation gardens, massage therapy. You'll have a whole slew of things. It's going to be it's a huge project. I'm pretty excited. I mean, we've got people involved with it where they're going to do all the building stuff. I just want to focus on the healing. I don't want to, I want the buildings to look amazing, but the construction side of it, I'm going to let them carry on with it. We just want to really focus on the pyramids and what they can do, because it's going to help shift the planet.
Yeah. Well, I've heard the ancient Egyptian pyramids were they looked a lot different than they do now. And I heard that they had their own electricity. And I mean, if you look at Egyptian technology, I mean, they were able to do dentistry. They were able to do brain surgery and all this other crazy technology, back however long ago. And now it's like we're just getting back, to that level, if we're even there yet. So it's like, okay, what happened to humanity between then and, now that we lost all that technology?
Oh yeah, the history's been rewritten, and it's a lot of it's lies. The history books are lies. I mean, but I think, if you look at a pyramid, I mean, if you put a coil inside a pyramid, even if you make one yourself, you can get a lot of energy. And, the vessel, of course, it's got to be made of the right stuff, gold. I mean, some people make them of copper, but, if you look at gold, crystal, which is moldavite, and, water, anything like that would, if you can create an exact structure, the power within them is incredible. It could power a whole city. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's amazing.
All right. Well, we got to wrap this up, but please do me a favor. Tell me what's your website so people can go visit you.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. If you come to globalenlightenmentproject.com, that's globalenlightenmentproject.com, and just come on the website. I mean, we do healings every week, 3 times a week. They're by donation. And I always tell people, look, if you don't have any money, don't shame yourself, because you know what? I've been there, got the T-shirt on that one. Let me tell you, living out of a car for a couple of years, we all have the dark night of the soul. And when you come back up, you learn that actually stuff doesn't matter. It's about people, and it was a good exercise, But so just come on them, 3 times a week. They're general healing groups. It really helps get rid of empties and raise your vibration, and we've got a lot of meditations there, books on history, truth, and healing of manufactured diseases, and different books to help you, move, transition to, much higher vibration. And that's the key, really, getting back to sovereign self. The day the guru and all this is gone, you don't need gurus. You are your own guru. And I just feel like a facilitator to help you get back to your guru self, To me, that's key.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Dr. Christopher Macklin, thank you so much for coming on with us today. We really appreciate it. And hopefully sometime in the future, we'll have you back on to talk more about, aliens and UFOs and other things, and tell us how your project's going and stuff.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me on. Bless your heart.
Yeah, thank you so much.